driven to contribute not just to me, or not just to you, but to me. So it drove me to, first of all, write Becoming a Master Student, and then I wrote a book called Human Being. I wrote a book called Falling Awake, and those are all in the area of what we might call self-help. Now, I've also written some professional manuals like life coaching. I've written a trade book called Creating Your Future, which is kind of a professional leadership book. I wrote a career planning book. Some of these I co-wrote. But the point is that I was driven to do that to contribute, and that's why I'm recommending this 15th strategy, which is for you to write your own self-help book. Create your own success strategies that you'll live by, your own owner's manual, your own 10 commandments, if that's not too sacrilegious. What I'm recommending is that you write your own constitution. Now, of course, you have to live by the law of the land, the United States. If you're in the United States, I think all of you on this call are today, you live by the Constitution and the laws of the United States. But I'm recommending, in addition to those, you write your own laws. And if you're part of the Christian church, for example, you probably live by the 10 commandments. But even if you are, I'm recommending you write some of your own commandments also. So you list your own values, you list your own strategies. It's like the Boy Scout rules. You know, if some of your boys, some of you were scouts, and it was on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the scout law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Wow. And then, not only was there that oath or promise, but then there was the Boy Scout law, which is to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thirsty, brave, clean, and reverent. And then there's the Boy Scout motto. So that, anyway, that's what I'm recommending you do, is you write your oath, your promise, your law, your motto, your slogan, your commandments, your creed. Now, I realize some of you think, well, I'm not that good a writer. And, well, I said that too. As a matter of fact, after I got help writing the first edition of Becoming a Master Student, it didn't sell very well. We had to completely rewrite it, and I hired 4 writers to write it for me, because I just didn't believe I was a good writer. Finally, this 4th writer, who used to work for David Letterman, convinced me that it wasn't possible for someone else to write it, given what I wanted to write. And he also convinced me, because he'd read a bunch of stuff that I wrote, that I could write. I want to see if today I can convince you to write your own self-help book, your own creed, your own rules, your own values, your own system, your own manual. I want to see if I can convince you to write it, and I'm even going to give you a chance in just a moment to start. Because it doesn't have to be long. It can just, some of the most powerful books I've read have just been a collection of little aphorisms, just little sayings. So the reason to do this is to predefine the path you want to take in times of trouble, or redefine it. Because for some of you, you do have a code to live by. It was written by somebody else, and that's all right. I'm also recommending you write your own, so that when you get into trouble, you have something to go back to. You have a fallback. It's really valuable, because when in times of trouble, the fallback could be to behave in a way that's inconsistent with your value system, inconsistent with what you know would work. So you're really redefining or predefining the path. Now, I also think it's great to have a path that you know you're going to take and a way you're going to behave in times of extreme joy. Because sometimes when I'm having a really good time, I forget to true myself up to my values, to my purpose, and to what I know works. So that's my best sales pitch, my best recommendation. But like any of these ideas, I think the only way you really know if they're going to work well is to experiment with them. So now's the time to experiment. see. Let's start. Let's start with a title. Hey, isn't that where all books start? So right now on your piece of paper, I'd like you to write a title for your book. I brainstormed a whole bunch of them the other day, but I don't want to give you my ideas. I don't want to contaminate your creativity with my contribution. So what are you going to call yours? Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or I'm not an author, hey, this is just a first draft. Don't let it stop you. I'm going to be quiet now for 30 seconds. I want you to write down at least one title. This will be your working title for your self-help book. Maybe you can write down two. I'll be quiet now for 30 seconds. You write. Begin. That was 30 seconds. Now I'd like to hear some of those titles. And remember, this is just your first blush. This doesn't have to be the final title. This is the working title. Please press 2 on your keypad. And we'll call on you. Just give me one, or even you can even give me two titles if you like. Go ahead, Bert.
I have Full Throttle Living.
Full Throttle Living. I love that one. All right. Yeah, that's all right. That's a good one. Somebody else. Give me another title. No matter what your title is, even if some of you, I guess, I'm thinking, put down the title, My Self-Help Book. But whatever you wrote, go ahead, Joanne. Joanne. Well, let's see, Joanne. Go ahead, Joanne.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Be your own coach.
Be your own coach. Yeah, absolutely. Good one. Thanks. And now to Barb Riley. Go ahead, Barb.
Never-ending journey to wonder.
Ooh, I like that one. Never-ending journey, and then to wonder. All right. Well, now, thank you all. And now you got a title. Now what I'd like you to do is start to list the audience. So you write down who you're directing this to. Now at the top of the list, I'd like you to write myself. Not Dave Ellis, of course. I mean yourself. Write down the word myself, or write down your name. That's your first audience. Now you're also the author, but I claim that just like me and every other self-help book author I've ever run into, I'm my first audience. And I probably learn more from my book than anybody else who reads it. But in addition to yourself, write down who else you're really going to think about when you write it. It's one of the reasons why I believe that becoming a master student was so successful is that I had a picture of my 4 sisters. I was just trying to remember if I ever told them this, but sure I did. I had a picture of my 4 sisters, and I looked at it, and I wrote the book to them. Partly because they were 2 of them were older and 2 of them were younger than me, and I didn't want to just write as if I were talking to younger people. I wanted to write as if I were talking to older people. Then when I wrote Falling Awake, I remember that our primary audience was middle-aged, ages 30 to 50-year-old women. That was the primary audience. Didn't mean that we didn't want to appeal to men, but that was the primary audience. I really wanted to speak to women because I think so many books are written to men. So now, I'm guessing you've already started to write. If not, I'm going to be quiet now for another 15 seconds. Write down your primary audience. then press 2 on your keypad so I can call on a couple of you, just so we get a few more examples. Who's your primary audience for this book? Now, of course, I know that anytime you press 2 on your keypad, you're going to start off by saying me. No, not Dave Ellis. I mean, you're going to start off and say the word M-E, and then you're going to tell us the rest of your audience. So, come on, humor me. Press 2 on your keypad. Who's the primary audience for this new book, this self-help book? Go ahead, Peter.
20 to 30 somethings that are driven to make a difference beyond just earning a living.
Aha. Oh, good. So this is going to be written for people who don't want to just make a living; they want to make a difference, and they're in their 20s and their 30s. And then it's also your primary audience is, of course, you.
Yes.
Thanks, Peter. Sandra.
Hi, Dave. I'm writing it for, of course, myself, but people who are curious about me, who know me, but those who have a need to know what I'm writing about. And the title of my book is Life with a little, Life Really Begins at 60.
Ooh, that's fun.
You like that one? Happy birthday, by the way.
Thanks. Yeah. See, that's a really good one because I think, first of all, it's going to really appeal to people that are coming up on 60 and are 60 and are a little over 60. So great audience, and thanks for saying yourself also. All right, and Barbara Benton, who's your audience?
Well, my primary audience is myself, Dave, and then I wrote curious people, questioning people, and then you mentioned more specific. So I would focus on young adults who are wondering about life a few years out.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Barbara. All right, now we're moving on because I'm doing my best to see if I can get you to actually start this book right now, right as we are on this call. And, of course, those of you who are listening to the recording, I'd like you to do the same. So we've got a title, we've got the audience, and now we want to write the purpose. What's the purpose of this book? Now, some of you have kind of spoken it already a little bit, but I'd like you to write it. So the way you do this is you write this sentence. Start off right as I speak. The purpose of this book is to, write this down, the purpose of this book is to, and now I'm going to be quiet for 30 seconds when you fill in the blank. Please begin. The purpose of this book is to write. Well, just like before, I'd like to hear, I know purposes are a little longer, but so let's hear 2 of them. Please hit 2 on your keypad. If you've already spoken, please speak again. If you haven't spoken, please hit 2 on your keypad. Just because the more voices we hear, the more interesting. Plus, as soon as you bring your voice to the call, you are more present. It's amazing. That's part of the reason we have these calls structured like this. Get you to speak. Your speaking keeps you present. Thanks a lot, Peter. Go ahead. The purpose is?
Purpose of this book is to create new industries and to have happier and more fulfilled workforce.
Ooh, that's fun. Thanks. Somebody else. What's the purpose of your book? Purpose of my book is to, and go ahead, Sandra. Sandra, I'm having a hard time selecting you, but there we go.
Have you got me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. The purpose of this book is to provide humor and possibilities to the readers.
Aha. Now, I'm guessing that some of the rest of you might want to add humor into yours. So if you do, I don't think it would hurt. Matter of fact, Sandra would probably be complimented by it. So go ahead, Jean.
Yes, the purpose of this book is to assist all to enjoy living and move daily toward their dream of a perfect life.
Ooh, that's fun. Cliff, go ahead.
The purpose of, I just walked away from it because my phone is running out. The purpose of this book is to inform and inspire individuals who have fallen for the illusion that their ship has sailed and that it's too late to reach their destiny.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, because a lot of people have fallen for an illusion, and so have we. So one way that we can stop ourselves from being in an illusion is to write our own self-help book. Okay, these are great. Now, the next thing I'm recommending that you do are write some testimonials way before you write the book. When Stan Lankwitz and I sat down to write the Human Being book, the very, very first thing we did was write up about 2 or 3 pages of testimonials. And I'll never forget one of the testimonials, which is the testimonial was that people who knew someone that read the book would rave about the book, as well as people that read the book. So we wanted to have a book that was so great that not only would you rave about it if you read about it, or if you read it, but you would rave about it if you knew somebody that read it. So, of course, these are, some people say, well, those testimonials, those were lies. And no, they weren't. They were just telling the truth in advance. They were just premature truths. And now, of course, some of those testimonials never came true, but some of them did. All right, so that's another piece I'm recommending you do. And then I'm also suggesting you start an idea file. And in this idea file is where you put all the suggestions that you're going to put into your book, including rewriting some of the common wisdoms. That's what I talked about earlier. We're going to start your idea file in just a moment because I want to hear from you when you rewrite, like, for example, rewriting the success strategies from Falling Awake, or rewriting just, well, I told you, penny saved is penny earned. Well, is that something you want to put in your book? Or do you want to write $1 saved is more than $1.22 earned? So you just take any of these sayings, and some of the sayings you might want to include just as they are, quotes from people. You put those in your idea file. But if you find a quote and it's not quite right, just rewrite it. If you use it just the way the person wrote it, then you want to give them credit. If you rewrite it a little bit, then you might want to give them credit and say that you rewrote it. If you rewrite it a lot, there's no reason to give people credit because it's not them anymore. You're speaking for yourself. Let me give you a couple more examples, and then I'm going to ask you to come up with some. Practice makes perfect. Oh, I sure wouldn't say that. I'd say practice leads to improvement. How about there's more than one way to skin a cat? Oh, boy, you're never going to hear me say that. I'd say that any problem we're solving is worthy of 20 solutions. Besides, who wants to skin a cat? Let alone have more than one way to skin a cat. It's just terrible. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. No. I'd say don't touch the wildlife. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Well, first of all, it's only talking about men, and I don't like that idea. So I'd say I'd tell you to do what my friend David Pippert said, which is to get more out of life, stay up late, and get up early. All right, so I'm just kind of adding a little bit of attempted humor here, and since I can't hear you, I don't know if you thought any of those were funny. But whether or not you thought they were funny, you get the idea, which is to find words of wisdom and rewrite them. So that's what we're going to do now. What I'd like to do is, those of you who have a copy of Falling Awake, you could pull out the 12 success strategies. I actually think that Alejandro might have a copy of the 12 success strategies on that Enlightenment. And now that's... Anyway, we'll see if we can get the 12 success strategies up from Falling Awake. But whether or not they're up on the screen or you find them from your book, what I'd like you to do now, I'm going to give you a minute, is to take some of the either ideas from Falling Awake that you've heard, or take some of the just common pieces of wisdom and rewrite them in your own speaking. I'm going to give you an entire minute and a half to do this, and then I'm going to send you back to your group, because what I want your group to hear is how you've taken either a common wisdom or one of the 12 success strategies from Falling Awake, like determine what you want, or tell the truth, or listen fully, and rewritten them. So you get a minute and a half to start your rewriting process. That minute and a half begins now. All right, thanks, folks. Now, we've listed some of the success strategies up on the screen. After lighten your load is focus your awareness and listen fully. But now we're going to put you back into groups. Let's see, we're not going to record any of the groups this time because we've kind of recomposed the group. So as soon as you get into your group, you'll hear a chime. You're going to have 4 minutes this time. I'd like you to tell about what you rewrote and how you rewrote it. And you'll have 4 minutes. I'll give you a chime after 3 minutes. Whoever starts to talk first, you lead the group and you go first, because I hear that you're spending an awful lot of time saying, well, who's going to go first? So whoever speaks first, goes first, leads the group, shares the time. 4 minutes, begin. Well, as usual, I love those. Celebrate became live in appreciation, which really for me, when I heard that, I thought, you know, that actually speaks it better to me than celebrate, because that's really what I'm recommending people do, is live in appreciation. I heard change habits, changed into do it differently, which is, again, it's a really good way to rewrite it. Lighten up. Don't sweat the small stuff. The idea that another one I heard that was good, attention to detail is where exquisite living resides. I heard a couple of you add to what I wrote, like create the future from nothing so you'll always end up with something. Or determine what you want or someone else will. Somebody rewrote take responsibility to suck it up, Mom. So good job. That's the idea. Those are the exercises. Thanks for participating.